David.
I'm Arianna.
And welcome to our Conspiracy Theory podcast. And today we are going to be going over the UFO timeline they deleted. And by they, I'm talking about the government. There's going to be 12 different segments we're going to be going over in this topic. And we're going to be starting off with the Roswell incident first.
I'm going to pretty much just summarize it for you guys, and then him and I are pretty much just going to discuss it. Because every single case that we have found has been pretty much deleted by the government. The government will say it's, oh my god, a UFO, and then here steps in the military trying to cover it up. So, let's get into the Roswell case. This happened on July 1947. A rancher named Mark Basil in New Mexico desert comes across debris, metal rods, rubbery material, foil that doesn't burn, stuff that didn't look human-made. Sorry. He reports to the local sheriff, and then Roswell Army Airfield gets involved. Major Jess Marshall goes out, checks the site, and brings some of the material back with him. On July 8th, the Army actually puts out a press release saying they recovered a flying disc. Then, a day later, they tried saying it was an air balloon. They even posed with different debris to back it up. Thing is, decades later, the U.S. Air Force admitted that crashes wasn't just a weather balloon. It was part of Project Mongol, a classified mission using high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests, which I think is actually fucking insane.
I think that is very crazy. Which isn't surprising, though.
Yeah, exactly. But that explanation didn't start right with a lot of people. Why cover it up? Why the media circus? Then the silence. And why did witnesses decades later start claiming they saw alien bodies? Some say those bodies were transported to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Other things, the craft was taken to Area 51, which, who knows what's behind the doors of Area 51. It's so secured.
Yeah,
there's no way getting in.
No one's ever got access there, unless you're in the Air Force.
I mean, the government's constantly trying to, get involved with things like that, which I understand, but then they use the military to cover it up.
Yep, I agree. Look at how fast technology is advancing now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that covers that somewhere in here, where a lot of things where they say they found on aircrafts.
Yep.
When they discovered any of these UFO plane crashes, that they end up using some of the stuff that they found, like lasers, microchips, different things. At least that's what I had read into.
Well, a lot of people think that the Roswell incident was linked to an advancement in our military.
Well, I mean, there is things to back that up. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of facts to back that up, and people can just look that up. Segment 2 is Aurora, Texas, 1897, and I'm going to let you take that one over, David.
All right. So, April 17th of 1897, early in the morning, a cigar-shaped airship crashes into Judge Proctor's windmill. An explosion follows, scattering debris all over the property. But it's not just the wreckage. The townspeople reportedly found the body of a small humanoid pilot. Newspapers describe it as not of this world. And get this, they gave the being a Christian burial. The grave was marked in the local cemetery. It was like, this ain't human, but we're still going to do it anyway. Years later, people went looking for that grave. The original headstone disappeared, and attempts to exhume the body were blocked. Some say the whole thing was a hoax to try to draw attention to the dying town. But others found unusual metal fragments near the site and confirmed that a windmill once stood where it was said to have crashed. Today, there's a Texas Historical Commission marker that mentions the incident, so whether it was real or not, Aurora earned its place in UFO history.
What is interesting is there was people who have claimed to have watched that body get buried, a proper burial. The grave where the body was buried, grave marker reportedly disappeared at first. Then that's when they noticed the attempts to exhume the grave and monitor years were blocked. So,
there were metal fragments found on the site that were later lost.
Which is insane because it just sounds like another cover-up from the government.
That's what I'm thinking.
Segment 3. This is another one in Aztec, New Mexico, 1948. A year after Roswell, another saucer reportedly crashes. This time in New Mexico. March 25th, 1948, witnesses claim a 100-foot metallic disc lands intact in Hart Canyon. Oil field workers say the military was already there when they arrived. Inside were reportedly 16 humanoid bodies. Humanoid bodies are like non-human bodies, like kind of like an alien body. Frank Scully's book Behind the Flying Saucers helped popularize the story, but then the main sources were discredited as conmen. The story was labeled a hoax. Except it didn't die. Researchers Scott and Susan Ramsey later dug back in and uncovered new testimonies and government records that weren't available in the 1950s. They even found physical evidence and inconsistencies in the official explanations. In one of those cases, that won't stay buried. Which is crazy because that's oil field workers discovering that plane crash before the military even showed up.
Yeah, and before we get on to segment 4, here's a video of the physical evidence and the inconsistencies in the official explanation. All right, so for segment 4, Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, 1965. Now we're heading to Kecksburg, PA, December 9th of 1965. People across 6 states and parts of Canada see a fiery object blaze across the sky. It crashes in the woods near Kecksburg. Locals rush to the site and report seeing a metallic acorn-shaped object with strange markings like hieroglyphics. The military shows up within hours. NASA even claimed to have studied the wreckage, but later said the files were lost. Go figure.
That's just another cover-up right there. It's constantly, if you notice in all 4 of these cases so far, covered up, constantly covered up by the government. And you wonder where our UFO timeline went.
That's the pattern I'm getting out of this. And let's not forget, crazy. The town has a replica of the object. They hold an annual festival. So even if the government won't admit it, Kecksburg hasn't forgotten. I just find it hard to believe all these little towns were just setting up these UFO events.
And eyewitnesses reported being threatened and told to stay silent when they seen it. That's 6 states in America and part of Canada saying that. And they expect all these people just to shut up about seeing something like that. I mean, you had a experience seeing a UFO, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was back in 2017. I'll never forget it. I actually had a Galaxy S6 active at the time, and it had a 8 gigabytes of memory, and I was about 4 or 5 years old. No, probably about 4 years old at the time, and I was coming back from Findlay Lake, New York, and I was driving through Asheville, New York. It was a very strange experience because what I saw was really hard to unsee. The craft that I witnessed was roughly 75 yards in diameter. It had 3 rows of neon green lights, and it didn't make any sound. And these neon green lights were like a really vibrant neon green color. The craft didn't make any noise, and it was a very rainy day out, so it wasn't like the craft was very far away. It was, I could have shot a BB gun at this thing. It was that low below the clouds.
Like in your IFV, did it feel like it was like really close?
Yeah, I would have to say a couple hundred yards away from the ground. The elevation of where I'm at in New York is, when it starts to rain, the clouds get very low in this area. So when I say a UFO craft came below the clouds out here, it's a very different experience, because when you see a craft like that, it changes your perspective on reality and physics altogether, really. And it makes you wonder what's piloting that craft. I didn't see what was piloting the craft. But anyways, to complete the story, when I seen it come below the clouds, it accelerated over the lake. Like it had Like it was floating on
Like
water.
over Chautauqua Lake?
Yeah, like if it just floated right over Stockwood Lake, but it didn't float like a blimp. It just like that in a matter of like a second and a half. It traveled a good quarter mile from above the Bosse's building in Asheville to above the lake, and then it ascends back over in the Asheville area, and then it goes back towards the lake, and then it just ascends or descends into the clouds, and it never comes back. And that was my experience seeing a UFO craft up close and personal.
I've had dreams, like vivid dreams of UFOs, but like never physically seeing something in person.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys have any experiences like where you've dealt with UFOs or seen UFOs or just had weird dreams of like seeing aliens or dealing with aliens, comment below. We want to hear and see what you guys got to say.
Definitely would be more than interested to see your stories.
All right. Segment 5. This one takes place in the UK. Rendlesham Forest, 1980. This is what they call the Britain's Roswell. December 1980, near RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge, U.S. Air Force servicemen encounter something straight out of a sci-fi movie. On the first night, Sergeant Jim Penniston, sorry if I said your last name wrong, and others see lights in the woods thinking it's downed craft. They investigate, and what they find isn't something like a plane. Penston describes a metallic triangular craft with glowing lights and strange symbols etched on the side. He even says he touched it and then later received binary code in his dreams. I was just talking about dreams and aliens.
That's very different.
Yeah. 2 nights later, LT called the woods. They document flashing lights, radiating readings, and something moving through the trees on tape.
Radiation readings. Okay. That's a very unique experience right there.
Yeah.
And the fact that these crafts put off...
Physical impression in the ground, elevated radiation level, and the damage was documented.
Well, the fact that these crafts put off radiation makes me think they run on ultrasonic frequencies. I mean, based off my research with electrostatics and high-frequency alternating current radio waves. I mean, whether it is really advanced humans or a different species that we took technology ideas from, it is very hard to disclose if it's actually aliens or humans that's running the show.
Yeah, I can semi-agree. We don't really know what's behind. Like NASA, that's very secretive. Area 51, that's very secretive.
Yep.
They just don't disclose anything to the people, which I guess to a certain degree I understand, but it's just the fact that if people see things, they're going to keep that recollection. Like, you had your experience, you're never going to forget that, I'm sure.
Oh, no.
I've never had an experience. I've had dreams where I've been abducted by aliens.
Yeah, and I've also had an insane experience with, I mean, it's sort of connected, but not connected to this podcast disclosure, but I'd have to say a spirit molecule called NN-DMT. I believe this molecule has a connection with a place known as the DMT realm, and this is going to be in the upcoming videos, but I believe that there is a method of communicating with different entities out there using this molecule.
That's going to be the topic for next week, in case anyone was wondering. So you kind of got a little bit into the
I
topic
probably
for next
dove a little
week.
bit too far into that too quickly, but...
Yeah, so we're going to finish off with segment 6 for part 1, and part 2 will be posted in a few days. So David, would you like to finish us off with segment 6, Russia, 1986?
Let's do this. Alright, so January 29th of 1986, a red sphere glides silently through the sky and crashes into Mount Izvestovia. I think I said that right. I'm American, so it doesn't matter. It happens with every single one of these cases. It's mind-boggling. So, for the remaining segments, for part 2, stay tuned and be sure to like this video and comment below what you think about these UFO cases.
Make sure to subscribe. All of our social links will be in the bio below. Guys enjoyed it. So thank you for watching.
And we have a lot more stories on the way, so stay tuned.
So stick